Picture this. You're 0-10 against a character you have no idea how to play against. And you're thinking, maybe I'm just not cut out for fighting games. Hi! For those who don't know me, I'm Slay, also known as Rob or Slay that Dude. How many times have you found yourself thinking something like that? If so, you're not alone. I've been playing Strive for about 2 years now. And lately, I've been thinking about how often I've interacted with players who struggle with what I believe is one of the most easily overlooked aspects of the game. Yet, one that's potentially more crucial than knowing combos or actually even technical knowledge. I'm talking about the mental side of playing fighting games. This video isn't something I'm making to mock anyone or to make them feel ridiculed. I used to be the one who, for example, would get frustrated with my opponent's character, or the opponent themselves even, or who would even keep playing the game when I wasn't enjoying it anymore, so I understand how that feels. That's why I'd like to offer some advice that I hope you'll find both practical and that might also make you reflect on how you've been feeling lately while playing. I hope you enjoy it. I care deeply about the learning process, in every aspect. And fighting games have made me reflect a lot on how much I personally struggle to manage my frustration while playing, even more than I realized. I was surrounded by new challenges and obstacles that seemed insurmountable. Fighting games, more than other games, are based on studying. There is no external progression system, no skill tree to unlock. What changes is only our knowledge of the game and our ability to put it into practice. To study and ensure that you can remember what you've seen or read, you need to give yourself the time to absorb new information, even little by little, and not necessarily always in the same way. I remember when I had to learn the numpad notation, for example, the first thing I thought was, I don't want to have to study here too. But things slowly started to click when I realized that notation wasn't so much something to study in and of itself, but rather it was what allowed players to share combos, theories and much more with better language. At that point, it simply became another stepping stone to climb if I wanted to learn more about the game, and it got a little easier. It's easy when you start out to feel overwhelmed by all the questions that pop up in your mind. What do the characters even do? What's even happening on the screen? Which moves should I be most concerned about? Game mechanics? My answer could be summed up in a simple formula. A little bit every day with concrete goals that you think are doable for you. In my actual case, for example, I often felt at a loss because when I opened the Dustloop page, the player-created game wiki, it just made me feel stupid, to put it bluntly. I ended up choosing the path that felt most comfortable for me, like by playing with other players, asking questions, and watching higher level players. I still found my way to learn more without ruining the experience, treating the game as just that, a game, and not an exam I had to pass on the first try. So, to sum it up quickly, you can rely on many other types of resources, such as videos, talking or play with friends or people who know more about the game, reading guides, practicing against bots, or repeating even in-game missions multiple times, as well as Discord channels for your specific character. What matters most is that you remember to look for the material that best suits your needs and that there's no one chasing you, so enjoy the ride and take the time you need. I hope that's clear, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Moving on, I'd like to point out a common pattern. How many times have you found yourself saying, "Sorry, I'm so bad," or "I suck at this game," or even something worse? Well, yes, another thing that caused me a lot of trouble for a long time was berating myself while I was playing, and even after I'd stopped playing. This is one of those habits where the sooner you realize you're doing it and manage to stop, the better. And I really wish more people would pay attention to it. I myself thought I was someone who wouldn't fall into that trap, and yet while playing I was amazed, to say the least, at how much venom came out of my words toward myself. All that negativity grows exponentially over time, and eventually, if you don't rein it in, you'll find it ruins your enjoyment of the game. Someone might think, yeah, but I played badly. I deserve the insult. To which I reply, is insulting yourself actually helping you improve or pay closer attention during the game? Would it help another player if you insulted them while they were playing or after, saying those same things? My practical advice in these cases is to think about what you'd say to a friend in your situation. How would you try to support them in their moment of difficulty? And how you would apply that same behavior to yourself. Very often, when we're so upset, it seems hard to even stop and think about what we might do. But personally, I feel that when this happens to me, it's exactly this kind of question that helps me calm down, trying to channel that energy into finding a solution. What would I tell a friend to do to make sure the same thing doesn't happen again? Or what could a friend do in a moment like this that would help them feel better? Maybe they could take a break from the game, maybe eat or drink something. Sometimes it's all of these questions together, really. But it's not easy to develop this sense of care for ourselves. So that's exactly why I'd ask you to start by thinking about what you'd say to a friend in your shoes. Here's a quick step-by-step guide to one of those negative thoughts and how I'd handle it, for example. Let's take the critical thought. I sucked. I'd ask myself, what does it mean to play, for example, like crap? Did I mess up defending? Or was I unable to pull off a combo? Let's say I messed up defending myself and I didn't know what to do. I tried to figure out what my options were, or if it was maybe a situation where it was a toss-up, or commonly called a 50-50, so I just had bad luck. Did I mess up my defense even though I knew how to block? We're not machines. So making mistakes is normal, and feeling ashamed of messing something up won't help you. Instead, try to keep in mind that maybe you need to refresh your muscle memory a bit for that sequence in the lab. At that point in the process, critical thinking gives way to constructive thinking. At least for me, this has proven to be a very reliable method and honestly helped me improve a lot. Try to make more concrete what frustration often brings as a vague feeling, and try to understand exactly what you didn't like about how you played. The more specific you can be, the easier it will be to figure out what to do and try to solve the problem. This won't happen overnight either, so be patient. It's a process. I believe in you. In short, I try not to ignore that feeling, but to listen to it, honor it, and do at least something to make sure I didn't feel that way again, if I could. Frustration isn't something to be pushed away, but something to be embraced. Doing so also helped me turn my gaming sessions into moments of mindfulness, because I wasn't playing with my mind off anymore, just on autopilot, but I was trying to actually be present, thinking about what was happening on the screen, how I was feeling, and I wasn't simply letting all that frustration build up until it made me lose the desire to even play without realizing it. Whenever I felt like something was bothering me, I'd actually try to jot it down somewhere, a notepad or maybe on my PC, but I'd also write down what I'd managed to accomplish after putting in the effort. Remind myself that, in addition to the things that I struggled with, I'd also managed to make progress compared to the previous times. I'd say I've come out of this whole experience feeling much more at peace and having grown as a person. And I'm extremely grateful to fighting games, and especially to the Italian community Spaghetti Showdown that welcomed me. And that's the end of the video.